Hello, my name is Tom Walton, and I'm one of the founders of a company called Smart Tech Alliance. And we are the designers of the new Smart Diagnostics program for HVAC technicians. And I'd like to just give you a very quick overview of what Smart Diagnostics will do. You'll notice on the screen it says thorough diagnostics, and there's 6 steps to building your business. And when we say building your business, what Smart Diagnostics is designed to do is help you build your revenues and margins and help you build client satisfaction. You're going to find out in this How tab, there are 6 ways that your tech can increase client satisfaction and service ticket value while reducing callbacks and cancellations. Read through these. These kind of give you a feel. You know, diagnostics sounds like a very technical program, and it is. It's a very powerful, procedural, step-by-step instructional set of diagnostics that make sure when your client calls and they have no heating or cooling, that your techs find all the challenges, get it solved, and you have minimal callbacks, which is a cost to you if you have callbacks, and you have the justified higher ticket value because maybe you found a contactor or whatever that you would have normally missed, but because of the diagnostics you were thorough and you found it. So it's going to increase revenue and lower costs. And we have something right here, this tab called Calculate Return on Investment, ROI. And I encourage you to go through this and see what your ROI is on what you're going to invest. You're going to find out that your techs can either, be on what we call the concise task diagnostics version at $40 a month per tech. You may choose to go to a little more enhanced task where it's telling the technicians even a few more steps on how to diagnose and identify a problem correctly. There's no right or wrong, whatever works best for you. You can always upgrade to one or the other. You can always, if you go to 50 and you think the simple tasks, the concise tasks are better later, you can always go back. So when you come in here, you're going to put your numbers in here. And let's say that you have a 6 truck or 6 service tech operation. You type in 6 there. It wants to know how many days you service, and there's 5 days in a week, 4 weeks, that's 20 days, but they say on average 21 days in a month are what you're going to have available to your techs to service. And then this is number of service calls you're currently making per day. You could certainly put in their service calls where the clients you're going out to change filters or you have some kind of maintenance, but what I would encourage you to do is just think about the number on average of service calls that are responding to no heat, no cool, I've got a problem with my air conditioning. There's not a right or wrong number in it. It's whatever your number is. So I'm going to put in this example. I'm going to say that we have 2 service calls on average per tech per day that are no cooling, no heating. And then you're going to have to either have this number because you've been tracking it, or you're going to have to just use kind of common sense. What percentage of all your service calls results in a callback? Out of 10 calls, do you have 2? Do you have 1? And I would tell you that probably you're going to be under 1 out of 10. In fact, I would say that instead of 10% callbacks, I would probably do something, if you don't know, maybe in the neighborhood of 5%. To put a 5% in, you type period 05 and hit enter, and there you go. What percentage of your clients, because of some bad experience, or even someone goes and takes your clients away from you, maybe on price, what percentage are you canceling every year? And if you don't have that, be small on your number, because you're going to see that this return on investment is robust. You don't need to be overstated in your premise on this. So I'm going to say you have a 3% cancellation rate. If you know what it is, put whatever that number is, and I hit enter. Now, what it's already done is it took the 6 techs times 21 days times 2 service calls on average per day times 12 months, and it tells right now that in that category you're doing around 3,000 calls a year. And that's just pure math. If you get your calculator out and you do the math on this, you'll see that it comes out to 3,024. If you got 5% callbacks, well, 5% of 3024 is 151. And so all of this ends up being a situation where, because of the premise here, it arrives automatically to conclusions. It's telling you at a 3% cancellation rate, if you cancel 3% of 3,000, that's 91 cancellations a year that you lose. You forever lose the revenue, all right? You've got 5 or 6 steps in total, but you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 calculators that you can calculate ROI. And I'll tell you that you probably don't need these last 2 for you to see very quickly that, no joke, no kidding, by your numbers that you calculate, you can more than justify the cost of this at $40 a month per tech. Or if you go enhanced 50, you'll see we're at 28.50. If you go to 50, it's going to jump it up a little bit to $3,600. There's not a right wrong way, but it's, that's your cost, that's your investment. Now we need to give you a return. So your callbacks cost you to go back and fix it the second time. The old motto, fix it right the first time. If you don't fix it right the first time because you weren't thorough with your diagnostics and your technicians missed some important, minor material, relays, capacitors, whatever it would be, contactors, you're going to go back and it's going to be a cost. And there's no right or wrong number, but I've heard, well, we're at $100 an hour, or at $90 an hour, and I get a truck, cost in there. So let's say your cost to go back is $140. It's going to take that 140 times 151 when I hit the return key on my keyboard and hit enter. That's what your cost of callbacks is right now. If you go, wow, that seems pretty big, well, then maybe your cost is not 130, or maybe you don't have 5% callbacks. Maybe you only have 4% callbacks. So you want to get these numbers to your numbers, okay? This is not designed to make it look like you're having a positive return. It's designed for you to figure out exactly what your return is. Now, what percentage improvement will your technicians experience and you experience in reductions of callbacks if they're more thorough? They go through disciplined steps, every one of them, from the junior tech to the senior tech. They make sure they check every part of a failed system so that when they say, hey, you've got a compressor failure, before you give them that quote, they're going to get a diagnostics report that shows how responsible and how logical the technician was at arriving at a failed compressor. And in it, there's a replacement of maybe a condenser fan motor because you found that, or there's replacement of contactor or whatever part. Maybe there's just a refrigerant leak you found and you secured that before you put a new compressor on. What percentage would you improve? I've had people tell me 50%, and I always say go low. I'm going to go 25. You could even go lower than that. Remember, 25% is you type in period 25 enter. So you're getting a return right now already of $4,200 if you can simply remove 1/4 of your callbacks through more thorough diagnostics and technicians not missing any of the problems and coming up with a complete solution. So you're at $4,200. You're already in a positive cash flow. Basically, what that 118 tells you is that your revenue or your positive impact is 1.18 times your cost. And it's also telling you that it paid for it every month in 26 days, all right? Something big here, though, that's really critical. And I learned this from a partner years ago. Often when techs, either through lack of discipline or maybe the dispatcher's rushing them off the rooftop or at the client, the home client's furnace, because there's another call coming in, they're not thorough. But if they are thorough and they go through these steps, they are going to find additional material that they, generally speaking, don't find. We've learned this from experience. So let's be real conservative. What additional, on average, material / labor could we add to our average ticket right now that will result because the technicians are finding everything that needs to be done on that unit, not just the big compressor, but they're finding every little thing that if you were to throw a compressor into the unit without correcting those, you might put the compressor at risk. Most people will say, well, I think we could add $25 or $50. I would tell you, let's be real easy on this. And let's just say on average, we're going to increase our service ticket value. We're going to verify that it's needed. We're not offering it this to the client because, we're trying to pad the ticket at all. This is a legitimate part they found because they're thorough. They're looking at everything through diagnostics. Watch what happens when I hit 5 times 3,000 calls a year. That's an additional $15,000 in revenue that you could achieve just by your technicians being more thorough and finding all of the legitimate repair replacement opportunities. What percentage of this will you get? Well, if it is a legitimate need, the tech is going to say, hey, you've got one of your 3 contactors not working. I would recommend you replace that. No, they're going to say you've got one of the 3 not working. I replaced that. So 100% of the time, if it's legitimate needed material, you're going to take that $15,000 to the bottom line. So now you got 4,200, you got 15,000, the 2 add up to 19,000. And you'll see right now that every month it pays for itself in less than 6 days. And your return, your positive impact on revenue or cost avoidance compared to your cost is a major 5 times cost. Now, there's 2 other calculators. You right now, I believe, will always be able to justify with your own numbers. And no matter how conservative you get, you're going to see that this is really an obvious opportunity for your technicians to, help you avoid costs. And avoided costs is the same thing as gaining revenue, and then also additional revenue here. I'm going to talk about this in a meeting that we have once a week, and you're welcome to come. We always get our new contractor members in the meetings weekly. I'm at no charge for the first month. If later you decide you want to continue on because you're getting a lot out of it, you're going to find it's very affordable. It's $90 a month to be a member of what we call the Smart Tech Alliance Expert Group. And we'll go through this and show you that this number actually is much higher than this. When you take in consideration, you're going to reduce cancellations. And anytime you reduce cancellations, you're not going to have the cost to replace that business in either a salesperson or you as the owner or service manager spending your time on it. So we'll go through that. But there's one other ROI that I haven't talked about. And that's when your client begins on every failure, every unit that has a problem, that you come back with a quote to tell them how you're going to get them cooling or heating. It's going to be preceded by a SmartDiagnostics report. It generates a PDF report. You can email it to them, or you can send it back to the office, and the office can attach it to the quote and then send it to the client. But this is the key. This is like a doctor recommending you have brain surgery, and they just basically, felt your pulse. You would never go with such a major, corrective action without some kind of diagnostics. You'd have CAT scans, you'd have blood analysis and all that. So our whole point is you are going to now give your clients a very complete diagnostics report with the quote, and it's going to increase their satisfaction. It's going to increase the belief that you're doing things from a logical standpoint rather than a reactive standpoint. That's an ROI we're not going to calculate, but it is invaluable. So, go through, put these numbers in right now, and then join us for one of our weekly meetings. You can find our weekly meetings at a website called www.smarttechalliance.com. Smart Tech has 1 T between Smart Tech and not 2 T's. Join us and see, how we calculate these 2 as well. Thanks for attending today. Bye-bye.